When the billionaire spoke Arabic, only one person in the room could respond. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to hold the key to a mystery that could change everything? In a room full of powerful executives and wealthy investors, what would happen if the most important words were spoken in a language only one person could understand? This is exactly what happened on a cold Tuesday morning in Manhattan, in the 47th floor boardroom of Sterling Industries. The room was filled with some of the most successful people in America. Investment bankers in $1,000 suits, tech moguls with billion-dollar companies, real estate tycoons who owned half of New York City. But none of them knew that their fate would rest in the hands of the quiet young woman serving coffee in the corner. Maya Khalil had been working as a server for Elite Catering Services for 2 years. Every morning, she arrived at corporate events before anyone else. She set up the coffee stations, arranged the pastries, and made sure everything was perfect. Then she became invisible. That's how it worked in these high-powered meetings. Rich people talked, poor people served. And Maya had learned to blend into the background like wallpaper. But Maya wasn't just any server. She was a graduate student in international business, working 3 jobs to pay for her education. She spoke 4 languages fluently: English, Arabic, French, and Spanish. Her dream was to work in international trade someday. For now, though, she poured coffee and stayed quiet. The meeting that Tuesday was different from the start. The usual group of American executives was there, but they were all nervous. They kept checking their phones and whispering to each other. Maya had served at hundreds of these meetings, and she could read the room like a book. Something big was happening. At exactly 10 a.m., the elevator doors opened. In walked a man Maya had never seen before. He was tall, maybe in his 50s, with silver hair and expensive clothes that screamed money. But it wasn't just his appearance that commanded attention. It was the way everyone in the room suddenly sat up straighter. "Gentlemen," said Robert Sterling, the CEO of Sterling Industries, "I'd like you to meet Khalid Al-Mansouri." Maya's hands froze over the coffee pot. She knew that name. Every business student knew that name. Khalid Al-Mansouri was one of the richest men in the Middle East. He owned oil companies, tech firms, and real estate across 3 continents. His net worth was estimated at over $50 billion. What was he doing here? The meeting started normally enough. Sterling explained that they were discussing a potential partnership. Al-Mansouri listened politely as various executives presented their ideas. He nodded at the right moments and asked thoughtful questions in perfect English. But Maya noticed something the others didn't. Every time someone mentioned numbers or specific details, Al-Mansouri's expression changed slightly. It was subtle, a tiny furrow in his brow, a slight tightening around his eyes. He was listening, but something was bothering him. The presentation continued for an hour. Charts were displayed. Profits were projected. Everyone seemed pleased with how things were going. Then Al-Mansouri raised his hand. "Excuse me," he said in his accented English. "I have some concerns about these numbers." The room fell silent. Concerns from a $50 billion man were not taken lightly. What kind of concerns? Sterling asked carefully. Al-Mansouri stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the city below for a long moment. When he turned back to face the room, his expression was serious. Then he began to speak in Arabic. Maya's heart skipped a beat. She understood every word. But as she looked around the room, she realized she was the only one who did. Al-Mansouri spoke for nearly 5 minutes in fluent Arabic. His voice was calm but firm. He gestured toward the charts on the wall. He pointed at specific people in the room. And through it all, Maya was the only person who understood what he was saying. The executives looked confused. Some tried to smile and nod, pretending they understood. Others looked genuinely panicked. Sterling kept opening his mouth as if to interrupt, then closing it again. Maya felt like she was watching a movie with the sound turned off, except she was the only one who could hear the dialogue. What Al-Mansouri was saying made her blood run cold. In Arabic, he was explaining that he had discovered something troubling about Sterling Industries. He had found evidence that they were hiding massive debts. The company was nearly bankrupt, but they were covering it up to attract his investment. The partnership they were proposing was essentially a scam to steal his money. He spoke about forged documents, fake financial reports, lies that went all the way to the top of the company. "I know you cannot understand me," he said in Arabic, "but I wanted to say this in my native language because it comes from my heart. You have insulted my intelligence. You have tried to steal from me, and you have shown me who you really are." Maya's hands were shaking as she held the coffee pot. Should she say something? Should she pretend she didn't understand? But Al-Mansuri wasn't finished. Still speaking in Arabic, he continued, "I am curious to see how long you will let me talk before admitting you have no idea what I'm saying. This is a test of your character. Will you be honest about your limitations, or will you continue this charade?" He looked around the room, studying each face carefully. "In my culture, we have a saying, the truth will find a way to speak, even in a room full of liars. I wonder if that saying will prove true today." Then he sat down and waited. The silence in the room was deafening. Maya could hear her own heartbeat. She could hear the quiet hum of the air conditioning. She could hear someone's stomach growling. But nobody spoke. Finally, Sterling cleared his throat. "That was very interesting, Mr. Al-Mansuri. Could you perhaps translate for us?" Al-Mansuri smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "I was simply expressing my enthusiasm for our potential partnership," he lied smoothly in English. Maya wanted to scream. She wanted to stand up and tell everyone the truth. But who was she? A coffee server. A nobody. Who would believe her over a billionaire? But as she watched the executives relax and smile, thinking they had fooled Al-Mansuri, she realized something important. Sometimes being nobody means you're the only one who can do something. Maya made a decision that would change her life forever. She walked to the front of the room, her heart pounding so hard she was sure everyone could hear it. All eyes turned to her. The executives looked annoyed that the help was interrupting their important meeting. "Excuse me," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Not now," Sterling snapped. "We're in the middle of something important." But Al-Mansuri held up his hand. "Let her speak," he said quietly. Maya looked directly at him and spoke in Arabic. "Mr. Al-Mansuri, I understood everything you said. And you're right about everything." The room exploded. "What the hell is going on?" Sterling shouted. "Who is this woman?" demanded one of the investors. But Al-Mansuri just smiled. A real smile this time. He responded to Maya in Arabic. "I was wondering if anyone in this room had integrity. Thank you for showing me that at least one person does." Then he switched to English so everyone could understand. "This young woman just confirmed something very important to me," he announced. "She has proven that there is at least one honest person in this room." He stood up and gathered his papers. "Gentlemen, this meeting is over. Miss?" He looked at Maya questioningly. "Khalil," she managed to say. "Maya Khalil." "Miss Khalil, would you join me for lunch? I believe we have much to discuss." What happened next seemed like a dream to Maya. As they left the stunned executives behind, Al-Mansuri explained that he had suspected Sterling Industries was trying to deceive him. He had done his research and discovered their financial problems before the meeting. The Arabic speech was a test. He told her over lunch at an expensive restaurant she never could have afforded. "I wanted to see if anyone in that room could be trusted. Most people would have stayed silent, even if they understood. But you chose to speak the truth, even when it was difficult." Maya learned that Al-Mansuri's companies were always looking for people with language skills and integrity. People who could navigate different cultures and business practices. People who weren't afraid to tell the truth. "I need someone I can trust to help manage my American operations," he said. "Someone who understands both cultures and speaks both languages. Someone who has proven they will be honest even when it's hard." He offered her a position as his cultural liaison and translator, starting at a salary that was more than she had ever imagined. But that wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. Maya's life had completely changed. She worked directly with Al-Mansuri's executive team, helping facilitate business deals across multiple countries. Her language skills and cultural knowledge made her invaluable. But more than that, she had earned Al-Mansuri's trust and respect. He often consulted with her on important decisions, valuing her perspective and honesty. Sterling Industries, meanwhile, had collapsed within 3 months. Without Al-Mansuri's investment, they couldn't hide their debts any longer. The FBI was investigating them for fraud. Maya often thought about that morning in the boardroom. What if she had stayed silent? What if she had been too scared to speak up? Her courage to tell the truth hadn't just changed her own life. It had saved Al-Mansuri from losing millions of dollars. It had exposed a corrupt company. It had proven that sometimes the most important person in the room is the one everyone overlooks. Maya's story teaches us something profound about courage and integrity. In a world where people often stay silent to avoid trouble, speaking the truth can be revolutionary. She could have easily pretended she didn't understand Arabic. She could have served coffee and collected her paycheck and gone home. Nobody would have blamed her for staying invisible. But she chose differently. She chose to use her voice when it mattered most. The truth is, we all face moments like this. Moments when we have information others don't. Moments when we could speak up or stay silent. Moments when doing the right thing feels scary and uncertain. Maya's courage reminds us that sometimes the smallest voice can make the biggest difference. Sometimes the person with the least power has the most important thing to say. Maya's story makes us wonder, what would you have done in that boardroom? Would you have spoken up? Or would you have stayed silent? More importantly, what situations in your own life are waiting for you to find your voice? What truths are you holding back because you're afraid or because you think nobody will listen? Remember, you don't need to be the richest or most powerful person in the room to make a difference. Sometimes you just need to be the most honest one. Maya Khalil went from serving coffee to serving as a trusted advisor to one of the world's wealthiest men. All because she had the courage to speak when it mattered most. Her story proves that integrity isn't about your position or your paycheck. It's about your character. And character can take you places you never imagined. Want to discover more incredible stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things? Stories that will inspire you to find your own voice and make your own difference? Subscribe to Beyond Yesterday on YouTube, where we share amazing true stories that will change how you see the world. Each story is carefully researched and beautifully told, designed to inspire and motivate you to live your best life. Hit that subscribe button and join our community of people who believe that everyone has the power to make a difference. Because your story could be the next one that changes everything. Subscribe to Beyond Yesterday today. Your future self will thank you.